I'm Leah Jenness.
I'm Sam Jenness.
And we're the parents of Miles Jenness. We were involved in a car crash on September 27th, 2018. Miles was a kind kid. His favorite color was purple.
He loved to go biking with me. We had a little tandem bike. He was very active, always outside.
He was obsessed with Star Wars from a very young age. Miles was just a part of the big wide world.
The day of the car crash, Leah was on a work trip, and I had gone to work and came home a little bit early so I could pick Miles up early from his after-school program. It was our usual kind of just discussion and chatting in the car on our car ride home, which is, only like a 5 or 10 minute car ride from his after-school program back home. And we drove our usual route home and we're chatting, and he was telling me about his day. We stopped at the traffic light across the street from our house on Midway Road for the usual traffic light stop. I just remember it seeming normal until it really wasn't. All of a sudden, this SUV just flashed in my rearview mirror all of a sudden. The next thing I knew, we were across the street, and I was kind of jumping out of the car and trying to figure out what was going on. And I turned around and I saw that Miles wasn't moving. This man, I don't know who he was, but he helped me pull Miles out of the car, and I noticed that he wasn't conscious at that time. We just put him on the ground, and there was a doctor that came by, and he started doing CPR on Miles, and it was just both very quiet but very chaotic at the same time.
I was in Oregon for work at the time. It was a work retreat. We were all going to a park for a scavenger hunt, and I noticed that I'd had a missed call from my neighbor, and I was like, you guys, do you mind if I just call my neighbor back and see what this is about? And they let me know that Miles and Sam were in a bad crash. I remember thinking, okay, so he's got a broken leg or something that they're calling me about this, that, the speed limits on all the roads here are like 25 miles an hour. It couldn't be that bad. And then one of my neighbors put the other neighbor on the phone, and she got out paramedics and not breathing. And after that, I don't know, really. I know I made a sound, dropped to the ground. They passed the phone around again, and they said, Sam is going in the ambulance now with Miles. I just kept repeating, I'm in Oregon. I need to get home. How do I get home? That set off the chain of events of my colleagues trying to help me book a red-eye flight back. And then I spent the next 8 hours in the Portland airport getting updates. And I just will always remember when Sam called to tell me, after they'd been in the ICU for some time, that he said, Leah, the doctor told me that they can't help him, that they won't be able to operate. And Sam just said, I believe them. And that was kind of when I knew what we were coming home to.
6 or 9 months after the crash happened, and we contacted lawyer Bruce Hagan, and Bruce then referred us to the Beasley Allen team. The initial meeting that we had with Chris Glover at Beasley Allen, where he explained some of the details of what a product liability case was, because that was a whole new idea and concept to us.
I think those early discussions, we really learned how vulnerable Miles and other kids were in the back seats of cars, given there's not much testing around safety there. And I think it was kind of understanding that what happened to Miles wasn't a one-time thing. It wasn't a lightning strike. Alyssa really, I wasn't there when Miles was killed, but she, helped me kind of discover witness testimony and hear stories about that day that I needed for my own grieving process and healing process. And I'm grateful for the transparency and the ability to kind of settle some things in my heart that hadn't been.
I would highly recommend the way that they approached our case, and it's clear that they have a lot of experience and expertise to be able to litigate these cases in general.
Throughout the process, the team really kind of helped us understand the ways that we could protect other kids, because that became, we can't bring Miles back, but we can help other people and maybe keep other kids here where they should be. The team at Beasley Allen has been responsive. They've taken their time. We've had tons of questions. I've always been really impressed with how much they know about the automotive industry, obviously the law, but also just how things work and how you can best help people in a broader sense. And we've been grateful to them for their kindness and all of their help.